This Grand Canyon hiking video focuses mostly on the Tonto Trail between Bright Angel and South Kaibab as part of the Pony Loop. This route will likely increasingly be used because of the closure of Bright Angel Trail beyond Havasupai Gardens. I'll talk little about Bright Angel Trail, first because I've long said the secret weapon of the older hiker is the early start, and I did most of it in the dark, and second because it is well covered in other videos, including 2 by me. The only treated water source in the canyon on this hike is at Havasupai Garden, so be sure to water up there. The next water stop is at the South Kaibab Trailhead, about 9 miles down the trail. For 2 hikers, I estimate 5 liters of water in this cooler weather will be adequate. I'll use the distance figures published by the Park Service in this video, and sometimes those even vary a bit, but those are often less than what a fitness tracker or even Google Maps provides. It's November 5th, not coincidentally Election Day. I like to do a vigorous hike on Election Day so that I'm too tired to stay up all night watching the results. I'll discover what happened tomorrow. My normal choice would be to do the Cowboy Loop today, down Bright Angel and up South Kaibab, but Bright Angel Trail is closed just beyond Havasupai Garden, that's here, until May 15th, 2025. So my alternate route is to do what I call the Pony Loop. That is to take Bright Angel to Tonto Trail, where we are now, cut across to where Tonto intersects South Kaibab at the tip-off, then go up to the trailhead, and finally, if weather, health, time, and energy allow, walk the 5 miles back to my hotel. Just a word about names. Cowboy Loop is an odd name, as Bright Angel was originally a Havasupai trail and later a mining trail. South Kaibab Trail was built by the Park Service in 1925 specifically to compete with Bright Angel Trail, which was then controlled by the county, which refused to cede control to the park. So no cowboys were really involved. But I guess descriptive names are not really that important. For example, the Tonto Trail is an essential part of this hike, and Tonto means stupid in Spanish, but no one seems to be concerned about using the name here. And since I'm cutting the Cowboy Loop hike down a little bit by using the Tonto Trail, I think it's fair to call it the Pony Loop. Ralph Cameron controlled both the Bright Angel Trail and the Tonto Trail through his mining claims. He chartered both the Bright Angel Trail and what he called the Riverview Trail, now the Tonto Trail, as toll roads. But the only place he managed to collect $1 toll was at the Bright Angel Trailhead. The original purpose of this section of the Tonto Trail was to access mining claims, for example, at Horseshoe Mesa. Wild burros also had a role in creating the route of the Tonto Trail. Escaped and abandoned burros thrived in the canyon and seemed to prefer the Tonto Plateau, where they wore distinct trails that have become part of the Tonto Trail. What happened to those burros is covered a bit more in my video about Brighty, a famous burro here at Grand Canyon. Cameron initially developed a tourist camp at Havasupai Gardens, and it was he who brought in the massive cottonwoods that characterize the area now. Until then, there were only willows. Kolb Studio built a satellite office right here where the Tonto Trail cuts off from Bright Angel Trail, and there was a caretaker structure a little bit up the trail here. The Tonto Trail route is twice as long as the Cowboy Loop along the river trail because you have to make a long diversion to get around Pipe Creek Canyon. The first landmark you see about a quarter mile down the trail are the telephone poles installed by the Civilian Conservation Corps in 1935. A stub line ran to a cabin that was once located near the headwaters of Pipe Creek. The trail remains relatively level through the entire hike, and the views cutting across the canyon rather than going up and down are refreshingly pleasant. The sun is intense on the Tonto Trail, and there are very few areas with shade. I only like to do it either in the late autumn or early spring. Tonto Trail, like revenge, is a dish best served cold. There's only one area that might challenge those with a fear of heights. Along the first side canyon of Pipe Creek, here, a tumble on the trail could send you falling into the canyon. Before I use poles, this section used to make me a little nervous, but with hiking poles, I feel secure. The pop of color behind are the cottonwoods at the headwaters of Pipe Creek. Pipe Creek got its name from a smoking pipe that was found here, and there's a little story about that. Once again, Ralph Cameron was the trickster who found a smoking pipe, put a year 100 years earlier, and left it where everyone could see it. And there's a link to a video about that here. There had been a cabin here at Pipe Creek, equipped with an emergency phone, and apparently was removed in about 1979, and some people believe the Park Service burned it down. I'll look a little bit for the foundation of that, but the primary purpose of this is hiking, not exploring. So if it's not immediately obvious, I'm just going to go on with the hike. A little bit past Pipe Creek is Burro Springs, which will be my breaking point for lunch, about halfway on the Tonto Trail before hitting South Kaibab Trail at the tip-off. Beautiful day, warming up quite a bit. Not sure if I'll go down to shorts and a t-shirt, but it's quite possible. Glad I'm equipped for all kinds of weather today. Early November, Grand Canyon, Tonto Plateau. An unexpected treat for me, and probably the high point of the hike, was the pop of color of the cottonwoods at the Pipe Creek headwaters. The cottonwoods at Havasupai Garden were still green, and although they're the same altitude, some micro element of the canyon weather resulted in the trees at Pipe Creek being in full color. It's a spectacular sight. I spent only a few minutes scouting for the cabin remains at Pipe Creek. It may be difficult to find, since one old account noted that water for the cabin was an issue because it was located a distance from Pipe Creek. As a break spot, Pipe Creek is prettier, but I had my lunch at Burro Springs, the second vegetated area on the Tonto Trail, and one which conveniently has a rock as flat as a park bench for the break. As the years pass, I find a nice flat surface is better for my back for sitting when I take a break. Beyond the Pipe Creek headwaters in Burro Springs, you're halfway to South Kaibab Trail. I always call it Kaibab, maybe from shish kebab, and one viewer keeps correcting me and says it's Kaibab. So most correctly, it's South Kaibab Trail. You go through a series of turns, and every turn you think, well, I'm going to go around that turn and I'm going to see South Kaibab Trail, and you never do. Even you get to see Phantom Ranch, and you think, next turn is going to be South Kaibab Trail, and it isn't. It drags on and on for a bit, but pretty soon you're going to hit Kaibab Trail. We'll pick up filming then. Beautiful day. There's a lot of brush impinging on the trail here, so although I have shorts on underneath, I'm keeping long pants on to keep it from wounding my legs. A lot of overgrowth on the trail this year. Nice hike, nice day, some light clouds, 62 degrees, very pleasant for hiking. When you reach South Kaibab, you've done 2 of the 3 trail legs of this hike. You got 4.5 miles to get to the trailhead, the worst part of which is the red and whites, a set of relatively serious switchbacks, bring you up to Skeleton Point. Skeleton Point, 3 miles to the top. Storm's starting to blow in, really cooled down. I'm not going to wear shorts on this hike. Might even put a shirt back on. But weather is unpredictable. Staying the night here, so if it snows or not, there's no problem whatsoever. So far, a great hike. Coming up South Kaibab, your job is pretty much laid out ahead of you. You can look and see the red and whites, probably the most difficult part of the trail ahead, through these zigzags. You then reach Skeleton Point, go across Mormon Flats,
hit Cedar Ridge, which is 1/3 of a mile from the trailhead, and move up from there. My work is cut out for me. Good thing it's a nice cool day and a little bit cloudy. Great day to hike.
South Kaibab Trail, in contrast to Bright Angel Trail, has better views, but it also gains and loses altitude more quickly and has more severe step downs. To me, it's best to go up South Kaibab, and I talked to several older hikers going down the trail who are now inclined to agree with me. The microphone failed here, but this is Mormon Flats, named not after Mormon settlers, but after the bush Mormon tea, which can be used to make tea. Along Mormon Flats, there are several great views of the Tonto Trail that you just traversed. Personally, I find Cedar Ridge a bit ugly, and the number of what I call rim hikers, those on a short jaunt into the canyon, increases from here to the top of the trail.
This segment is aptly named Windy Ridge.
The final section of South Kaibab Trail is a steep set of switchbacks called the Chimney, a great reminder of the distance you've climbed and a warning for inexperienced hikers heading down that the trail involves some effort.
Having reached the trailhead, there's a choice. The end part of the C, we could take a bus, actually 2 buses to get back to the hotel, or walk the 5 miles. There's no bus here, and having set a goal, I think I'll try to reach it. 5 more miles to get back to the hotel, and the hike will be over, rounding out to about 18.5 miles total. Nice day for a hike, gotten pretty cool. Let's head down the trail.
Along the Rim Trail, returning to the hotel, you get many opportunities to look back at the trails you just hiked. Here's a nice view of the upper portion of South Kaibab Trail, including Ooh-Ah Point.
At this intersection, you have the choice of taking the Rim Trail, the 5-mile trail, back to the hotel, or there's the Greenway Trail, which cuts across the village area a little bit behind it and saves half a mile.
Walking the Rim Trail to the hotel provides the best views, but also the most crowds. I've never taken the Greenway Trail route, so this time I chose that option. The Greenway Trail first takes you past the expanded water storage facilities. There's a surprising number of water tanks to serve the Grand Canyon Village. Then you pass the Yavapai Lodge, the old visitor center, Grand Canyon Graveyard, and finally you make it back to the Bright Angel Lodge where I stayed on this trip. This is a post-mortem on the hike.
Got up at 3 a.m., hit the trail at 5 a.m., and back in the room about 4 p.m. I took the Greenway Trail on the walk back, making it an 18-mile round-trip hike. And golly gee, it was a hard hike. I'm not as young as I once was, and I'm probably not in as good a shape as I ought to be. But it was a challenging hike, and if my goal is sleeping through and not watching the election results, I think I've accomplished that. I think I'll be in bed by about 6 p.m. Weather is looking okay, 40% chance of snow tonight, which may affect my travel plans tomorrow. But nothing worth doing is easy, and it takes a little effort to get here, and sometimes weather challenges get in the way. As I was making the hike, I thought I would make a few comments about the aging process, and I'm going to stick them here at the end of the video because sometimes people don't want to talk about aging, and sometimes people don't want to contemplate mortality, but it's important to me. The first thing is, what is the distinction between having frailties and being frail? I certainly have a number of frailties, a bad back, a bad knee, not such a good digestive system, and I call these frailties. But when do they add up to becoming a frail person? And it's something that I'm apprehensive of. I don't want to be frail. I'd like to be robust and strong. But more and more as the years pass, I find myself becoming more and more frail. I think if I survive for a number of years into the future, I will be more and more frail. And it's a sobering prospect to face that, and a prospect to which I have no solutions, just an observation. The other thing is a realization about what's going to happen between now and sundown. I believe I've made peace with mortality. I accept that I will die. But more and more, especially late at night, I realize that between now and the end, there's likely going to be a period of painful disability. It's not fun to think about, but it is the most likely outcome. And then what do you do with it? And I guess what I do is do as much as I can, enjoy as much as I can, get out there and hike, do an 18-mile hike on election day, and stay in what is the best view room here at Grand Canyon. This is Bright Angel Room 6152. I think it is the best room on the south rim of Grand Canyon because of this triple pane window and the views out the window right up the Bright Angel Fall, which is the hike I love to do from South Rim to North Rim on South Kaibab Trail. I guess that's it. There's nothing simple and there's nothing easy about mortality. There's nothing simple and there's nothing easy about a painful process in life that will likely occur. But I do ponder these things, and I did want to mention them for people who have not thought about these things. Anyway, as I've always said, living well is the best revenge. It's a beautiful early November day. I'm going to enjoy a great dinner, stroll along the rim as the sun sets and as the canyon turns to a gray, which is one of my favorite times of day. That's it. The hike is done. Great hike. Glad I did it. Accomplished it. Tough. Gets tougher as I get older, but still enjoyable. Thanks so much for watching.